Hi, I'm Pam, and I would like to welcome you to the Live Authentically show. On my show, I talk to people about how they live authentic lives and about how they help others connect to the essence of who they are. I would love to invite you to join my Facebook group, where we have a group of like-minded individuals committed to their spiritual growth and transformation. You can find us at liveauthentically.today/FB. I'm super excited to be launching my first book. It will be out in early 2020, and it's a spiritual journey through my personal growth and transformation and self-actualization, and contains all of the keys that you need to unlock the secrets of the universe so that you can create the reality that you desire. So on today's show, I have with you a special guest. Her name is Rachel Strong. I'm super excited. Thank you for being on the show, Rachel.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Thank you. We're talking about a number of different things today. Rachel is kind of one of these people who kind of does it all. So I'm excited to dive into a number of different things: spirituality, health and wellness, work-life balance. I mean, I just think what you do on a daily basis and how you share your gifts with the world is just so amazing. And I'm super excited to have you here to share some of those things. So one thing I'd like to do is, what I'm going to do on every show is start off with a question. And that question is, what does it mean to you to live authentically every day?
To live authentically, I think, means to just be yourself, be who you are. And I think that's really hard to do sometimes for a lot of people. And it's taken me nearly 40 years to figure out how to do that, how to be authentic. And I think I was able to tap into my authentic self when I started really learning about what it means to dive into self-care. And when I started taking care of myself, I felt like I was able to truly become who I want to be. And that has helped me really live in a more authentic way, not just the hustle and bustle of everyday life that we get caught up into things being so busy. But when I actually took time to step back and start taking care of myself, I felt like I was really coming into myself authentically. So I think that that's what it means for me.
And can you share a little bit about your journey to that? Like, was there a particular event, or situation? I know you navigated some health issues. So what was the point at which you said, I need to make a change?
I think for me, it's been a long journey. It's been a long process, as it is for all of us, essentially. But I feel like the decade of my 20s was a really tough decade. And it's weird looking back now as I start to approach 40. I'm really excited about that decade of my life. And I feel like it's been sort of opposite for me, in the sense that in my 20s, they say everybody lives their best life in their 20s. You're young, you have all this energy, all of these things are going on. You're in college, you're starting your careers. For me, it was quite different. I felt most of my 20s, I was tired all the time. I was just didn't feel well, stressed out, was sick, all of these things. And so it really just took me a long time to get to this point of, as I started approaching my 30s and was really sick, and was seeing several doctors, and we couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And it's not like, it wasn't like debilitating. I mean, I was working full time. It's not like it wasn't anything that wasn't manageable, so to speak. But as I started seeing doctors, because I just really wasn't feeling my best self, I just knew that something needed to change. And so I had just really started on this journey after, and I don't have anything bad to necessarily say about medical doctors or conventional medicine, but the more I sought out conventional medicine and was just told to just take this pill, you're going to be on this for the rest of your life, I thought I really need to dive into something more here, because I wasn't going to settle for that kind of quality of life for the rest of my life. So I think it was just over a span of years of just trying to figure out how to start to take care of myself. And it was a long process, and it was a long journey, and something that I feel like I really only figured out in the last 5 years.
And it really does. It's those life experiences that help lead us, to our authentic selves and to taking a more active and more conscious approach to living. I think part of it too is I think society just kind of conditions us to think that this is just the way life is. You're supposed to get up, work hard all day long, drop at the end of the next day, get up and do it all over again. And so many times, casual conversation is, "Oh, how are you?" And everybody says, busy or tired, and we just kind of become accustomed to thinking that, oh, this is the way life is supposed to be. And I too, wasn't until well into my 30s that I realized that I don't have to be tired all the time. There's a different way to live. I can take a more proactive, preventative approach. So what advice would you give people as they're navigating? I know I want to dive into health and wellness issues a little bit, because I know that there are a lot of people around there, out there walking around feeling like you were feeling. I mean, maybe not necessarily dealing with a life-threatening illness or a chronic illness, but they just don't feel good. And what advice do you have for them to tap into their intuition, listen to their body, not just take the answers that the doctors are giving them, not just take the medicines the doctors are giving them? What advice would you have for people as they're navigating the journey from feeling not so great to feeling great?
Yeah, I think you really have to self-advocate for yourself. And I think there comes a point of, I always ask myself, or the advice that I give to people who are struggling is, the question that I always ask people is, what kind of quality of life do you want to live?
Mm-hmm.
So we all have the adage that we say, life is short. We hear that all the time. Life is short. You never know. You could walk out the door and be in a car accident and something could happen, or, something life-changing happens at the drop of a hat, and you just never know. Life is short. And I believe that to be true. Life can be short. But I also look at things on the other perspective of, life can really, truly be a long time. It can be a very long time. So when I was 28 and I was probably at the cusp of really just feeling bad, really just not well, knew that something was different, had gone to a doctor, and a doctor had said to me, so what had happened was I was diagnosed with mono. And I had gone to the doctor and I said, I just don't understand what is going on. I feel the worst that I've ever felt. And this doctor looked at me and she goes, you are getting close to 30. You are kind of approaching 30. And I thought to myself, what are you trying to say to me? Like, at 30 years old, my life is, I have all of these health problems and now my life is over and that is it. And so I was thinking, at 30, what if I live another 70 years? That can be a really long time. And so I thought to myself, what kind of quality of life do I want to live? Do I want to live the next potentially 70 years of my life being chronically ill? Mm-hmm. Or do I want to have the kind of quality life that is vibrant and vivacious and full of energy and wanting to be able to move freely without being in pain? So it was at that time that I really started to look at the medical field and thought, what are we being told, or what are we being fed into? And how can I take that and self-advocate for myself to make changes with that? And I think that that's important. And for me, it was also, I just took a lot of things from my mom. And my mom is in her 60s, and I think that she comes from a generation of people, and part of it is her personality as well, where she very much believes in authority. So whether it's a cop or, somebody in law enforcement or a doctor or a professor or a boss, because this person is authority, that whatever they say must be what I have to do. Mm-hmm. And my mom has had a long history of some medical problems and just continues to just do whatever the doctors tell her to do. And I'm not saying that that's bad in any stretch, but I felt like, so my advice would be to question everything, question what you're being told, and is there another alternative that works good for you, that is best for you. So definitely do your own research, become a self-advocate for yourself and ask questions. It's okay, I think, sometimes to challenge authority, and it's okay sometimes to challenge doctors and say, I don't really understand this or how you came to this conclusion. I would like to see my medical records because it's my right to be able to see that, and just be able to question things and self-advocate for yourself. So I think that that's so important, especially with all of the information that's out there and misinformation that's out there on the internet and those types of things. And so I think the biggest piece of advice that I learned that I would like to share with other people is nobody knows your body better than you do. And as much as, doctors or other people are there to help and are there to serve us, they're not inside your body. They don't know exactly what it's like to be you, to be inside your body, to feel the things that you're feeling. So always go in with that frame of mind of no one knows your body better than you do, and it's okay to ask questions and to self-advocate for yourself.
Right. I think that's great advice. And what you talked about is it's precisely what we're seeing out there in the way of shifting consciousness. I mean, people are starting to wake up. They're starting to ask more questions. I mean, we see it at all, throughout all sectors of demographics, from adults down to kids. I mean, my kids, I know, are asking me questions that wouldn't have even occurred for me to ask as I ask of my parents when I was a child. So it's really exciting to see people start to wake up and make those more conscious choices and conscious decisions and become active participants in creating their reality. Anything from, the way they live, daily lifestyle choices, to taking charge of their health. So, I think that's really exciting to see. And I think it's so important to question and not just take the information that is given. I mean, obviously it's very useful, but we have to ask ourselves, and you totally hit on what I always talk to people about, and what I've learned to anchor on through my journey of finding my authentic self is, how does this make me feel? Okay, I realize this is the medicine that I'm supposed to be taking, or this is the plan I'm supposed to be following, or whatever, but at the end of the day, I'm the only one that knows how it makes me feel. Right. So if I'm taking something and it makes me feel tired, or if I just don't like how I feel in my own skin, then I need to make a change. And I think it can be challenging, though. I wanted to explore the journey a little bit, or explore the process of getting in tune with how you feel, because I think that's such a kind of an esoteric concept, or sort of an abstract concept for a lot of people. I know it was for me. I mean, I was going through my 20s and I knew I was tired and stressed, and, I just was burning the wick at both ends, and I knew I was tired, but I didn't know how to really anchor on how I felt. And what advice would you give people on how they learn to listen to their body?
Go in with the attitude of, we are all bio-individually different. So we are all chemically made up differently. And so you really do have to tap into what it is that you're feeling. And I also want to touch a little bit on the psychological piece of not feeling well. And again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm none of those things. But so for me, just a little bit of background in my journey of being diagnosed with celiac disease. So for a long time, just didn't feel well, had a multitude of symptoms, tired all the time. From the process of me not feeling well to actually being diagnosed was probably a good 10 years or more of just having all of these different symptoms, and doctors couldn't. And I'm a healthy person. So even in my 20s, when I was tired all the time, that's kind of the norm, right? It's talked about just in our society as far as, you walk through the door of your work and it's how many cups of coffee have you had today? And it's kind of like this cool thing to just be like, oh, I'm so tired and all of these things. But it was like, whoa, I am just really like weepy tired, like chronically fatigued and tired all the time. And then I just was in pain, inflammation pain, which I didn't realize, nerve pain from the time I got up till the time I went to bed. And it's just something that you kind of push through doing. And so I think, and then when I was finally diagnosed, and it took much longer to be actually diagnosed with celiac disease, although I had gone to several doctors who was tested and told me, no, that's not what I had. It was all in my head. I didn't really have the symptoms that I, said that I was having. It's all because I'm stressed out. At the time I was working a high stress job. And, other than that, every time I'd go to the doctor, they'd say, all your lab works come back normal. Like, you're a healthy person. Although I didn't feel very healthy. And so, And I think for me, when we were starting to figure out that gluten was part of the issue, there wasn't an official celiac diagnosis at the time, but gluten was the issue for me. I think that there was like this psychological piece of like, man, I'm never going to be able to eat pizza again, or I'm never going to be able to, and then I have a dairy allergy on top of it. And so just sort of going through all of those things. And you asked specifically for my advice on what was it? I missed it. Can you repeat?
How you would, what advice you would have for people as they get in touch with, with how they feel, how do they learn to really anchor, listen, tune in and listen to their bodies.
Right. And so I think when that happens, and so for me, I just went through this process of just being sick, just not feeling well all the time. And so for me, I think you have to question, you really have to question, do you really want to continue to feel this way? And when are you going to be sick and tired of being sick and tired? And so I think, coming around to that is just really tapping into that and getting in tune with being honest with yourself and saying, what is it that I really want to do? And do I want to continue? Because I went through a period of a long time where I would purposefully, I don't want to say, and I would admit that purposefully make myself sick, although I didn't think about that at the time. For me, it was worth it for me to eat pizza because I knew that I was like missing this so much in my life, and I knew it was going to make me sick, and there was a part of me that kind of didn't care. And so I think when you tap into just not feeling well, so challenge yourself, give yourself 30 days to feel well and really feel how it feels to feel well, and then go out and eat something. For me, it was like, then go out and eat something that I know is going to make me sick. And how is that going to make me feel? And it's like, man, I don't like feeling like this anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's how you kind of tap into really yourself. You just have to ask a lot of questions. I'm not a big journaler, but something more recently that has been helping me is really just sort of writing down how it is that I'm feeling about stuff, to really just take an honest look at what's going on, and how is it, again, going back to what kind of quality of life do you want to live? Right.
I think that's great advice. I know that living a holistic lifestyle is a big piece of who you are. I know that you take a multifaceted approach to your health and wellness, and I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what that means. I know that was something that was a process of discovery as well. I mean, I grew up, again, in my 20s, feeling tired and just kind of eating the standard American diet and not practicing mindfulness and not realizing that there were other dimensions to who I am, other dimensions beyond the physical realm. So can you talk a little bit about what living holistically means to you? And again, what you would, maybe a day in the life, or just some general lifestyle practices that you follow that support living holistically.
Yeah, I think with living holistically, for me, my life changed when I sought out a functional medicine doctor. And I very much love the idea and the thought of living holistically. And I would say probably like my only word of advice or caution would be through the different people out there, that maybe there are people who are well and just want to live more holistically, and they don't have food allergy issues, or they don't have a chronic illness or whatever, and can try other alternative type, what I would maybe say Eastern medicine type things with like herbs and supplements and food, that sort of thing. And then to be able to tap into it, they have this wonderful ability to be able, we have Google, and like you can really Google just anything and try a bunch of different things. And so my advice to those people would be, have an open mind and try lots of different modalities. There are so many different wonderful modalities that are out there, and to not get too stuck on one thing, because again, it's bio-individual for a lot of people. So I know that I'm just going to say, for example, being vegan might be something that might be really great for one particular person. But for another person who maybe needs different things in their body, like animal protein, for example. And I know we get into a lot with vegan. A lot of people feel very differently and feel very strongly because of animal rights and those types of things. And I'm not speaking to that. I understand that and I respect that. I'm speaking to something a little bit differently. So for people that are in the camp that don't have any health issues and want to live more holistically, I would say try lots of different things until you land on something that works for you, whether it's Ayurveda or Chinese medicine or, Qigong or whatever modality that you want to get into. For people that maybe have a little bit more of an autoimmune issue or a chronic disease issue that they're dealing with, or food allergies, I would say I would start with a functional medicine doctor, because you can get a myriad of tests done, lots of blood drawn, you can get hair samples and saliva samples and stool samples and urine samples and breath tests and all of these things that you can do and you can get a report that will tell you exactly what your body is reacting to and what is good for your body. And the reason why I say that is because before I found functional medicine, I was seeing kind of just a holistic practitioner who, and nothing wrong with it. I went to her and I sought advice and I was trying different things, who we weren't really doing the scientific medical tests as far as what was going on with my body. And she was recommending things to me that were actually things that I'm allergic to. And it wasn't really until, she didn't, because she was just a holistic practitioner, she didn't really have access to doing lots of those tests. And I unfortunately didn't have the luxury of being in the first camp of people that you can just try lots of different things, because some of the things that we were trying were making me sick. So when I went to functional medicine and was able to find out that, hey, there's all of these different modalities that you can do, for example, supplements. So we have this camp of people that, doctors that prescribe medicine. Well, when you go to functional medicine doctor, their first job is to find out what's going on with you. And then the second thing that they do is they're going to recommend supplements to you to take, which are great. We need supplements and we need things in our life. We're missing a lot of things through the food sources and food chains that we have. So we do need supplements of some sort. But with functional medicine, I was able to see, like, one of the things that I'm allergic to, a couple of herbs. I'm allergic to peppermint, rosemary, and sage. And so there's a lot of supplements out there that have peppermint in it, that have rosemary in it. Rosemary is a huge, really great herb and supplement to take for a lot of different things. But if you're somebody that's allergic to it, which I didn't know until I, was able to go to functional medicine and get a test that showed me, like, hey, you can't have this. Your body reacts severely to this. So I think that to be able to get into that, like living in that holistic way, is try lots of different things. And so if you're in the camp of people that can try everything, I would say try it and see something will land with you, that something will resonate with you. And you'll be like, man, I really like this, and stick with that. And then if you're in the camp of people that maybe are dealing with something a little bit more chronic or an autoimmune issue, and maybe you're seeing your medical doctor and maybe they're doing great for you. But my advice would be to start with functional medicine first, get all of the tests available to you that you can get an exact printout of everything that is going on in your body, and then adjust from there.
Okay. I think that's great advice. I think that's great. And I applaud you for following this journey with such courage and tenacity, and just knowing that, that in and of itself is huge. Just knowing that I can feel a lot better than this, and I don't have to go through potentially 7 more decades feeling like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
That really, not feeling well, the physical component infiltrates all other areas of our life. I have just discovered on my journey that once I started to take control of my physical health, that really started to impact many other aspects of my life in a very positive way. Mm-hmm. For me, that was sort of a springboard to exploring my spirituality, into mindfulness, etc. So, what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about too was other areas, kind of take on sort of a bird's eye view of, I know that you do a million different things and you do them all really, really well, which is one of the reasons that I so respect you and what you do. I know you are responsible for helping to run a business. You and your life partner, you are highly involved in helping to parent his son. So you do the parenting responsibilities, and you help to run a business, and you're totally in control of your health, and you manage the household, and you're a personal chef for your family, and you do so many different things. Love to hear you hear your words of advice, your words of wisdom on how you keep everything in balance, because I think you do such a great job of that. You're committed to your overall well-being. You keep your pitcher full, but how do you balance giving to others and other people and other endeavors, and how do you keep it all kind of all in check? How do you balance everything?
Going back again to the idea of self-care, somebody told me a long time ago, which is my partner actually, Gabe, said, and I had never heard of this before, and he actually said it to me way before it was cool, before now everybody sort of says it, in the fact that you can't take care of anyone else until you take care of yourself first. Mm-hmm. And he said that to me years ago, probably, 7 years ago. And I thought, man, that is such an odd concept to say that. And especially I think as a woman, because you are responsible for, or it is on the woman in a lot of senses to take care, to take care of the kids and take care of the house and have a job and, do all of these things. And now I would say I've heard more recently in the last couple of years where there's more of this concept of, you have to take care of yourself. And even in the airplane, they talk about, taking care of yourself first before you help somebody else out. And so I feel like there's this new age concept of that going on. But I think in order to have that balance, and what is work-life balance really, I don't even know if that is even, such a thing. And I think it's taking it one day at a time. And when I really feel well, when I really feel at my best, I have the energy to do all of those things. So for me, it wasn't balancing life. It became a matter of balancing energy and really starting to tap into my energy. And when I eat well, and when I exercise, and when I am surrounding myself with the things that make me feel well, then I have the energy to take care of everything else. And when I'm not in this space of where maybe I allow people to suck my energy, or I have toxic people in my life, we all have them, family, friends, whatever, or certain situations that I just allow to sort of, creep in bad thoughts and, my mind of whatever with running a business, then I don't have the energy to balance it all. So I think that it becomes, instead of balancing life, it becomes important to me to balance energy, and the energy that we're putting out there and that we're receiving. And so also thinking about what are you filling your mind with? What are the things that you're looking at every day? And we have all of these things in the news and social media, and really taking a break from a lot of that and focusing in on honing in on the things that bring me really good energy has allowed me, I think, to be able to balance so many different things.
Mm-hmm. And that's so important. I mean, that concept of self-love, that idea of taking care of ourselves first, it sounds counterintuitive, right? Some people think it sounds selfish. In fact, I used to think it sounded selfish. Like, what mom would say, you know what, I'm going to take care of myself first. I'm going to fill up my pitcher before I fill up my kids' cups. Right. And I tried to do that for years. I was responsible for filling up their cups, and I didn't even realize that my pitcher was empty. Mm-hmm. I used to get up in the morning and throw yoga pants on and a hoodie, no makeup and a ponytail every single day. I was exhausted. I was stressed. I was tired. I just really wasn't enjoying life. I wasn't enjoying everyday life. I wasn't able to sit back and relax. And, life's meant to be enjoyed. We're not supposed to run around feeling stressed and crazed and exhausted all the time. So it's just, it really does take a completely different mindset. But once you actually live it, once you actually start putting yourself first and filling up your pitcher, then it's uncanny the way it works. I mean, you have more to give. I mean, I know I've stepped into a place where I'm doing more now and I'm more energized than I've ever been. And I have so much more on my plate, but that's because I've tapped into who I am and my authentic self, and I invest in my self-care. And you touched on so many other areas, and loving ourselves, providing the best for ourselves, nourishing our mind, body, spirit is so much beyond just what do we do every single day in the way of exercising, eating healthy, taking supplements, etc. It's what doesn't serve me, right? It's getting rid of those toxic relationships that are emotionally and mentally draining and simply aren't in our highest good. It's about honoring, boundaries, establishing boundaries and articulating those. It's about having standards. I mean, that too is one thing that helps us get into alignment with who we are, is having standards. This is what works for me and this is what doesn't. And the whole idea behind conscious thought is, we have choices. We all have choices. And, by setting your standards, people have a choice to either stay in your space or not stay in your space. And once you start to make those decisions and realize, or make those adjustments, and, you realize, I feel more, you become more and more yourself every single day. And that's sometimes difficult, I think, for people to do. I know I didn't find that. I didn't embark on this journey of spirituality. I mean, it's obviously a lifelong journey. We're all spiritual beings, but there are certain events. We all have certain life events or certain catalysts that prompt us to dig deeper and to dive deeper. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your views on spirituality. First, I'd love to ask everybody, what does spirituality mean to you?
That's great. Yeah, I will answer that. And I wanna just touch up really quickly on what we were talking about previously, is that this journey to self-love and self-care is really difficult. I don't want to sit here and just say just do this and just take care of yourself and everything else will fall into place. It's been really I don't want to sound negative, but it's not an easy process to do that. So I think that the one thing that I just wanted to tap on is just keep doing it, keep going at it, because I would say that I haven't always been in a place of loving myself necessarily. I think we all have had times in our life where it's like, what am I doing, or is this all worth it, or what do I have going on, and am I really contributing in the world the way that I want to, and all of these things. And I take a lot of baths, and it just seems like sometimes it just seems like a lot of work to just run the water and put and to do all of those things. And so I just wanted to touch up on just the fact that if you are in that place of I don't even know where to start or where to begin, just do something, just do one small thing, and it will get better, it will get easier to do that. And so then segueing into spirituality, this is a tough one for me. Thinking about, I feel probably the most connected, spiritually, definitely in nature, and definitely, I probably feel the most spiritually connected when I'm with my partner. And just, so I think having somebody in your life that you really, truly connect with at such a deep level, that it's like this, really deep spiritual connection. And I feel so fortunate to have been able to have found that, especially over the course of the last 7 years. So spirituality, I would say, is tough for me in the sense of, when you start talking, are you talking spirituality as far as religious, in religion, or are you talking about spirituality as far as connecting to yourself? So for me, it's about more connecting to myself, and probably feel the most spiritual, like I said, with my partner, and then through my yoga practice. Definitely through yoga, in the sense of being with a group of other people who are like-minded, who you have the same goal and are doing the same thing. And it's moving meditation. So you can move your body in such a way that is, and can also be meditative and healing in that way. And so I definitely feel spiritually connected in those things. I do believe that we are spiritual beings having this human experience that we have. And I definitely love that and love the thought of that. Beyond that, I don't really have a lot of that figured out, but beyond that, and that just comes from some other, incidences and issues from the way that I was raised and stuff like that. But I do definitely believe we're spiritual beings having this experience, and that energetically we're all connected, and to really start to tap in and tune into the people that you feel energetically energized around when you're around them. And then, there are people out there that either drain your energy or that you don't feel like you have that connection to. And I'm not saying that they're bad or that they're bad people. They're just not lined up on your same frequency, or they're not raising your vibration, so to speak. And so to tap into that and to sort of figure that out. But I think spirituality is definitely an individual, it's very individualistic for each person, but I do believe that it is an essential part of overall health and wellness, for sure. I would say that for me personally, that's the area that I need to develop definitely a lot more. But I'm very comfortable with where I'm at on it, and feel very fortunate for those times that I do connect with people on that spiritual level. Just having a really great conversation with somebody that you're just buzzing afterwards, that you're like really energized by this conversation, or you just feel like you're on the same page or on the same wavelength is really just such a beautiful experience. So
I totally agree. And I think, I'm finding your tribe, finding that tribe of like-minded people is just so incredibly important. And it's important to maximize your time with them, because I always say everybody who's in your life should enrich your life in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
It could be emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, but it should always be an uplifting experience. Mm-hmm. It doesn't always mean you need to have a super deep conversation about the meaning of life or what your life purpose is. Sometimes people are in our life to for some fun, for some spontaneousness or fun. Some people enrich our lives culturally, but it's important, I think, to become aware of that standard and ask yourself, how do I feel, when I'm with this person? And it's okay to make those healthy disconnections. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means that vibrationally, we're just not aligned right now. And right. The good news is that there are 7.6 billion people in the world. So there is no shortage of people to go around for, I can find my tribe of like-minded people, and this person can find their tribe of like-minded people, and we can both be really happy. It's just that so many times we get so attached to relationships, and it's hard to break those patterns. And we get attached to the past, and letting go is such an important part of spirituality, understanding that the past is the past. You're right where you're meant to be, live in the present moment. It's easy to kind of catastrophize about the future and be anxious about what's to come, but it's really all about just immersing yourself in the present moment with like-minded people, understanding that you're right where you're supposed to be. And like you said, it's an individual journey. Mm-hmm. And I think that too, that was a game changer for me. When I really anchored on that a handful of years ago, that was a total game changer, because, we grow up, we're accustomed to operating in groups, right? We grow up in classes and in families, and life is just all about being in a variety of different groups, clubs, etc. And we lose sight of the fact, or maybe don't even consciously realize, that this is an individual journey. And everybody in our life, all of our relationships are meant to help make us more aware of certain aspects of ourselves. It's really all about, this whole spiritual journey is about making the unconscious conscious.
Yeah.
When we start to ask ourselves those deeper questions, not just how are we going to pay the bills, or what are we going to do next, or what are we going to have for dinner, but what can I learn from this? Why am I here? It doesn't always have to be a super deep contemplation, but just, okay, that was really challenging, and that totally triggered me, and I actually got really angry by that interaction. Why? Not just, well, that's just my reaction, but why? What is it that triggered that? And how could I handle this differently? And once you start to ask yourself those deeper questions, certain things that used to resonate with you or used to really affect you just fall away. I know for myself, I can walk away from things that really I would have dug my heels in years ago and really kind of pushed my agenda or tried to convince somebody that I was right. Now it's very easy to just say, you know what, it's okay. It's okay that we have different belief systems, or it's okay that we're not agreeing, and move forward. And that in and of itself is freeing. So I think you were talking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think too that it's okay to let go of certain relationships in your life of things that aren't serving you. And so one of the things that I've been thinking about or talking through lately is, kind of having these contractual agreements with people. And it's kind of this subconscious, like, somebody comes into your life in relationship, whether it's family, friend, partner, whatever, and you kind of come into this contract. And sometimes the contract just ends. And it's okay. And so sometimes it's okay to distance yourself from somebody that just really isn't fulfilling things in your life. And, there's just a situation that happened to me recently with family that was really difficult to sort of just be able to stand up and say, you know what, this is just no longer healthy for me. And I'm going to take a break from having these types of interactions, with certain family members. And I sort of kind of felt like in this self-healing journey of like, had this moment of like, I've arrived, of like, I finally am like getting to this point of really coming into who I am and being able to, and not in a mean, that doesn't mean that like has to be a fight or a mean way, or that you have to say something mean to that person to get them to say like, no, but to just be able to stand up to yourself and just say, hey, like, I'm no longer going to tolerate this behavior no longer serves me in my life. And it's just not who I am and how I want to live. And so we're just going to take a break from, this. And so I think it's okay to let go. Sometimes it's very freeing to just say, you know what, I want to live who I am as a person. I'm really working hard on taking care of myself first, and this is no longer serving me. So right. I think sometimes it's okay to give people permission to sort of, to be able to do that in a kind way.
Of course. Right. That's definitely, so important. The more we do it, the more we realize that we become comfortable with it. And it's not only okay, but it's really necessary. Like you said, we have these contracts and everybody comes into our life for, a reason or a season or a lifetime. Not everybody that's in our life right now is meant to be here forever. So once we understand kind of the fluid nature of relationships, we're able to, to move through life more freely. Mm-hmm. I guess to wrap up, what I'd like to have you touch on is what advice do you have for people to start? Like you said, start exploring their spirituality. Sometimes we feel like we're not ready, or we have apprehensions or fears, or I don't know what I'm doing, or this world of holistic health is really intimidating. There's this whole new vernacular, this new language I need to learn. I know I had to learn the language of the universe, right? Learn how to operate and move about in terms of energy, which is so counter to how I'd been accustomed to operating. And I know a lot of people are feeling like, I'm not ready. I don't know where to start. Mm-hmm. So what advice do you have for people to just start, or to help them overcome their fears?
Spend some time with yourself and go take a walk, or, go to a place that's inspiring to you. So, whether that is, a walk at the beach, or a walk in the woods, or something like, take your dog for a walk, or whatever. I think being outside and just really tapping into what this earth is, and what everything, because spirituality is definitely, heaven, earth. It's definitely this more organic sort of thing. So I think quiet time, spending a little bit of time with yourself, if that's where you're at, if you're like, where do I really want to start? And allow your thoughts to just sort of happen organically and freely. And whatever pops in your head, or if you think, oh, that sounds kind of interesting to me, or, I had a friend talk about this, then come back in and then start asking questions, and, do some research and get connected with people that are into the same thing that you're in. So definitely, I think it's important. So two modalities, one of spending time with yourself, but then it's so important to have community, and to really tap into your community of people, or like you mentioned, your tribe, and sort of see, and again, try a bunch of different things out. You don't have to just land on one thing and think it's the best thing. Try out different things. And I think it's important to you'll hear something that will just resonate with you. And then you sort of go into that more and dig into that more and see what it's like. And I think once you put that out there to the universe, it's really interesting what comes back. All of a sudden it's like, you're running into all of these different people or all of these different things, or you'll overhear a conversation of somebody talking about the thing that you were just thinking. So put it out to the universe and just let the universe answer. And you'll know, I think it's just important for people to really like I said, individually, nobody knows your body better than you do. And nobody knows really what your heart's desire is more than you. And to really just listen for that. Oh, this sounds really interesting to me. Maybe I'll check into that more.
Right. And like you said, everybody's process is so individual. And I mean, that's the fun. The fun part is the discovery, right? The fun part is the journey. The reward is the journey, really. I know we're so conditioned to want to get to our destination and race to the finish line. And then we get to the finish line and it's like, oh, that was it. That's it. What's next? And so it's important to just, like you said, embrace the journey, understand that there's no one size fits all recipe, for everyone, no one size fits all approach.
Yeah.
So I think that's excellent advice. So I would love to thank you for being on our show. It's been truly great for you to share your wisdom, and I'm just truly grateful for you taking the time to do that. I appreciate everyone who tuned in today. We have lots of exciting things going on, and would love to have you join our community. Again, it is at Live Authentically Today/FB. And we have lots of exciting things coming up that we're going to be sharing with you there. Again, the book launch will be starting soon, and the book will be released in early 2020. So stay tuned for that, and have a great day, Rachel. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was good. Thank you.